San Francisco, 1967. The Golden Dragon restaurant on Grant Avenue glows amber through its paper lanterns, casting warm geometric patterns across wet sidewalk pavement still slick from afternoon rain. Inside, the scent of ginger, star anise, and sizzling garlic drifts through air thick with conversation. The multilingual hum of Cantonese, English, and Mandarin blending into the restaurant's familiar evening rhythm. At a corner table near the back, beneath a silk scroll painting of misty mountains, sits a man who will one day become a global icon. But tonight, in this moment, Bruce Lee is simply a 26-year-old martial arts instructor with calloused knuckles, $47 in his checking account, and a date he's been looking forward to all week. He's wearing his only good shirt, a pressed white button-down with the sleeves rolled to his forearms, revealing the lean, cable-like musculature of someone who treats his body like a precision instrument. His black slacks are clean, but worn at the knees. His hair is combed back in the style of the era, still damp from the shower he took in his cramped studio apartment above the Kowloon where he teaches. Across from him sits Linda Emery, a young woman with shoulder-length blonde hair and bright, intelligent eyes that crinkle when she laughs. She's wearing a simple blue dress she bought specifically for this evening. Her first formal date with the man who makes her feel both challenged and cherished in ways she's never experienced. She's 19, a sophomore at the University of Washington taking Bruce's martial arts class, and she's falling in love. Though neither of them has said the words yet, they're talking about philosophy, Bruce's favorite subject after martial arts. His hands move as he speaks, conducting invisible orchestras of thought, punctuating ideas with precise gestures. Linda leans forward, chin resting on interlaced fingers, genuinely fascinated by the way this compact, intense man connects Eastern wisdom to everyday life. Water can flow, or it can crash, Bruce is saying, his Hong Kong accent adding musical cadence to his English. Be water, my friend. You must be shapeless, formless. Linda smiles. You make everything sound so simple. Simple is not easy, Bruce replies, his eyes bright with intellectual excitement. Simple is the hardest thing in the world. The restaurant buzzes around them. At the table to their left, an elderly Chinese couple shares steamed fish in companionable silence. To their right, a group of businessmen celebrate a deal with repeated toasts of baijiu. The kitchen door swings open and close in rhythmic intervals, releasing bursts of heat and the sharp percussion of wok against flame. Waiters navigate the narrow aisles with practiced efficiency, balancing trays laden with whole crabs, noodle bowls, and teapots that trail steam like prayer incense. Bruce chose this restaurant carefully. It's authentic, not the Americanized Chinese food designed to comfort Western palates, but real Cantonese cuisine that reminds him of childhood in Hong Kong. He wants to share this piece of his culture with Linda, to show her the flavors and traditions that shaped him. He's been saving for 2 weeks to afford this meal. But there's tension beneath the evening's warmth. Bruce has felt it since they walked through the door 20 minutes ago, the way the hostess's eyes lingered on Linda, then on him, then back to Linda with an expression that combined surprise, confusion, and something harder to name. The momentary pause before she grabs menus, the particular table she selected for them, tucked in the back corner, partially hidden by a decorative screen, as though their presence might be better concealed. Bruce noticed. He always notices. Years of being underestimated, dismissed, categorized have made him hypersensitive to the subtle calibrations of prejudice. But he said nothing, simply placed his hand gently on Linda's lower back and guided her to the table, pulling out her chair with quiet grace. Linda didn't notice. Or if she did, she doesn't understand what it means yet. She grew up in a Seattle suburb where everyone looked like her, where the complications of interracial relationships exist only as abstract concepts discussed in sociology classes. She's young enough to still believe that love should be simple, that who you choose to sit across the table from shouldn't matter to anyone but you. Bruce knows better. He's lived in America for 8 years now, long enough to understand the unspoken rules, the invisible boundaries. He's heard the whispers when he walks down the street with Linda, seen the looks, felt the particular quality of silence that descends when they enter certain spaces together. But he refuses to let the world's narrow imagination dictate his choices. Linda is brilliant, kind, curious. She asks him real questions about martial arts philosophy instead of just wanting to see him break boards. She challenges him intellectually, makes him laugh, sees him as a complete human being rather than an exotic curiosity or a stereotype. So here they sit, in the back corner of the Golden Dragon, talking about water and formlessness while the city darkens outside and the restaurant fills with the evening rush. The owner approaches their table. His name is Mr. Chen, a stocky man in his 50s with silver threading through his black hair, wearing a white shirt stretched tight across a prosperous belly. He's been watching them from his position near the train, front entrance, his expression growing progressively darker. He stops at their table, doesn't greet them, just stands there, arms crossed, radiating disapproval. Bruce looks up. Yes, you know this kind of restaurant, Mr. Chen says in Cantonese, his tone making it clear this is statement, not question. Family restaurant, respectable place. Bruce replies in the same language, his voice calm. Yes, that's why I brought my date here. I heard the food was excellent. Mr. Chen's eyes flick to Linda, then back to Bruce. Maybe you should go to a different kind of place downtown, where they used to this kind of... He pauses, searching for a word that will convey his meaning while maintaining plausible deniability situation. The table has gone quiet. Linda can't understand the words, but she understands tone. She understands the body language. Color rises in her cheeks. Bruce's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. His hands, which had been gesturing enthusiastically moments ago, go still on the tablecloth. We'd like to order now, he says still in Cantonese, his voice dropping to a quieter register, the vocal equivalent of a blade being slowly drawn from its sheath. I'm not sure we have table available for whole evening, Mr. Chen continues. Very busy tonight. Maybe you could eat quickly then. We have a reservation, Bruce interrupts, switching to English now so Linda can understand. We'll order now. Reservation under what name? Mr. Chen consults no list, checks no book. I don't see it. The lie hangs in the air between them, obvious and ugly. At nearby tables, diners are beginning to notice the confrontation. Conversations lower to murmurs. Heads turn. The restaurant's ambient noise dims as attention focuses on the back corner, where a small Asian man and a young white woman sit with the owner looming over them like a thundercloud. Linda's hand finds Bruce's under the table, squeezes it. Her eyes are bright with suppressed tears, not of sadness, but of anger and humiliation. This is new for her. She's never been made to feel unwelcome simply for existing in a space, for sitting across from someone she cares about. For Bruce, it's numbingly familiar. He thinks of his father, Li Huichuan, a Cantonese opera star who taught him that dignity is a performance you give even when, especially when, no one wants to see it. He thinks of IP Man, his Wing Chun master in Hong Kong, who demonstrated that true strength manifests through economy of motion, minimal force producing maximum effect. He could leave. That would be the path of least resistance. Stand up. Take Linda's hand. Walk out with head held high. Find another restaurant where their money is green enough to overcome the color of their skin and the combination of their faces across a table. But something in him resists. Not pride. Pride is ego, and ego is the enemy of water. No, this is something else. A line in the sand. A refusal to accept that in 1967, in San Francisco, in America, there should still be places where humans are sorted and ranked by the accident of their birth. We're staying, Bruce says quietly. We're ordering, we're eating, and we're paying, just like every other customer here. Mr. Chen's face darkens. This is my restaurant. I decide who eats here. No, Bruce replies, his voice still soft but carrying a steel edge now. You run a public business. You don't get to decide that some paying customers are acceptable and others aren't based on what you think about who they choose to love. The word love lands in the space between them like a declaration. Linda's hand tightens on Bruce's. Around them, the restaurant has gone almost completely silent. Everyone is watching now. Some faces show embarrassment. Others show agreement with Mr. Chen. A few show sympathy for the couple being humiliated. Mr. Chen leans down, placing both palms flat on their table, inserting himself into their space with physical intimidation. You think you're special? You think because you teach some Americans to punch boards, you can disrespect your own people? Bring shame on your culture. And there it is, the particular sting that cuts deepest. Not just the rejection, but the accusation of betrayal. The suggestion that by loving across racial lines, Bruce is somehow abandoning his heritage, rejecting his roots. Bruce's hands remain perfectly still on the table. His breathing doesn't change, but something shifts in his eyes, a focus sharpening, a decision made. My culture, he says, each word precisely articulated, taught me respect, discipline, honor. But it also taught me that all human beings carry the same spirit and bleed the same blood. If your version of culture requires me to treat this woman as less worthy of sitting across from me, then your version is the one that brings shame. Get out, Mr. Chen says, his voice rising now. Get out of my restaurant. We haven't ordered yet. I'm asking you to leave. We're customers. We have money. We want food. The standoff stretches. Seconds tick past. The kitchen door swings open and a waiter emerges with a tray, sees the scene, and freezes. Someone in the back coughs. A child at a nearby table asks their mother a question in Cantonese and is quickly shoshed. Mr. Chen straightens, crosses his arms again. If you don't leave, I call police. Say you're trespassing. Linda inhales sharply. Bruce's hand squeezes hers reassuringly. His mind is moving rapidly now, calculating angles, assessing options. He could argue, could cause a scene, could appeal to the other diners to intervene, or he could do something else. He stands. Linda looks up at him, confused, hurt, thinking he's capitulating, that they're leaving, but Bruce isn't moving toward the door. Instead, he steps away from the table, creating space. His movements are fluid, unhurried. Every eye in the restaurant tracks him. He reaches into his pocket. Mr. Chen tenses, and Bruce sees the fear flash across the older man's face. The instinctive assumption that this young Chinese man might be dangerous, might be reaching for a weapon. Bruce pulls out his wallet, opens it, removes two $20 bills and places them on the table, more than enough to cover the meal they haven't eaten, plus generous tip. This is for the food we wanted to order, he says, voice carrying clearly through the silent restaurant. And this, he places another 10 on top, is for the lesson I'm about to give you. He turns to face not just Mr. Chen, but the entire restaurant. Diners, waiters, kitchen staff, peeking through the service window. He makes eye contact, sweeping his gaze across the room with deliberate slowness. My name is Bruce Lee. Some of you may have seen me teach. Some may have heard of me. In a few years, many more will know my name. And when they do, when I'm teaching martial arts to audiences around the world, when I'm showing people that strength comes from discipline and wisdom rather than hatred, I will remember this moment. I will remember standing in this restaurant, being told that my money isn't good enough because my date doesn't look the way some people think she should, and his voice remains calm, but it fills the space completely. This is the voice of a teacher, a philosopher, not angry, sadder than that, disappointed. Kung Fu means skill through effort. It means dedication. It means respect for yourself and others. But respect isn't real if it only extends to people who look like you, talk like you, think like you. Real respect means seeing the humanity in everyone. He takes a breath. Mr. Chen's arms have lowered slightly. He's not interrupting. You see me with this woman and you feel shame. But the shame isn't in who I choose to sit with. The shame is in living in 1967 and still believing that love has boundaries. That the accident of someone's appearance should determine their worth. My parents didn't raise me to be that small. He turns back to Linda, extends his hand. She takes it, standing. Her eyes are shining, but not with tears now, with something else. Pride, solidarity. Bruce looks back at Mr. Chen. You have 4 seconds to make a choice. You can apologize, seat us properly, serve us the meal we came for, or we walk out that door and every student I teach, every person I influence, every platform I ever have, I will use it to tell this story. Not to hurt you, but to demonstrate what's wrong with thinking like yours. 4 seconds. The restaurant is so quiet that the hiss of steam from the kitchen sounds like a scream. 1. Mr. Chen's face works through multiple emotions: anger, embarrassment, defiance. 2. Someone near the front of the restaurant stands. An elderly Chinese woman, thin as a reed, with white hair pulled into a tight bun. Mr. Chen, she says in Cantonese, her voice carrying unexpected authority. Seat them, serve them, do better. 3. Mr. Chen's shoulders sag almost imperceptibly. His gaze drops to the floor. 4. Table 7, he says quietly to a waiter standing frozen nearby. The large booth in the front. The good table. He looks back at Bruce, not quite making eye contact. Your reservation is confirmed, Mr. Lee. Please, this way. The walk from the back corner to the front booth takes 15 seconds. Bruce and Linda follow Mr. Chen through the gauntlet of tables, past diners who are silent, or nodding, or deliberately looking away. The elderly woman who spoke up gives Bruce a small smile as they pass. The front booth is indeed the best table. Large, comfortable, with a perfect view of Grant Avenue through the window, where neon signs reflect off wet pavement in electric colors. Red vinyl seats, polished wooden table, fresh flowers in a small vase. Mr. Chen places menus in front of them with shaking hands. I will send our best waiter. Please order whatever you like. He pauses, the words clearly difficult. It's on the house. No, Bruce says firmly. We pay like every other customer. We're not asking for special treatment, just equal treatment. Mr. Chen nods, backs away. As he retreats toward the kitchen, Bruce can see him wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. The restaurant slowly returns to life. Conversations resume. Utensils clink against plates, but something has shifted in the atmosphere. A tension released, a collective exhale. Linda is staring at Bruce with an expression he'll see many times in the years ahead, though he doesn't know that yet. It's the look of someone watching another person become exactly who they're meant to be. 4 seconds, she says softly. You gave him 4 seconds. That's all it takes, Bruce replies, opening his menu. 4 seconds to make a choice about what kind of person you want to be. 4 seconds to decide whether you'll be ruled by fear and tradition or by wisdom and compassion. Their food, when it arrives, is extraordinary. The chef has clearly been instructed to send out his absolute best work. Whole steamed fish with ginger and scallions, delicate as silk. Kung Pao chicken with perfectly balanced heat. Bok choy and oyster sauce, each leaf a tender green perfection. Hand-pulled noodles with a complex sauce that tastes of star anise and memory. They eat slowly, savoring each bite, talking quietly. Other diners glance over occasionally, but the looks have changed. Curiosity rather than hostility. A young Chinese-American couple at a nearby table raises a teacup in a subtle toast. Bruce nods back. When they finish, Bruce pays the exact amount of the meal plus a proper 15% tip. No more, no less. They stand to leave and Mr. Chen appears from the back. Mr. Li, he says, this time meeting Bruce's eyes directly. I was raised to believe certain things, to think certain ways. Tonight you showed me I was wrong, or at least that I could be better. Thank you for the lesson. Bruce studies him for a moment, then extends his hand. Mr. Chen takes it. The handshake is firm, brief, meaningful. Lessons are useless if we don't act on them, Bruce says. What you do tomorrow, next week, next year, that's what matters, not this apology. I understand. Bruce and Linda walk out into the San Francisco night. The rain has stopped, leaving the air clean and sharp with the smell of ocean and possibility. Linda threads her arm through his as they walk toward his car, a beat-up Chevy Nova with a temperamental starter. You knew, she says. When you said 4 seconds, you knew he'd choose right. No, Bruce admits. I hoped, but I didn't know. That's why I gave him the choice. If I'd forced him, hit him, humiliated him, what would that have taught? Only that might makes right. That the person with power gets to dictate terms. But you do have power. Physical power. You could have, doesn't mean should have. Real strength is knowing when not to use force. Giving someone the opportunity to choose better. That's more powerful than making them submit. They drive through the city in comfortable silence, streetlights painting golden streaks across the windshield. Linda rests her head on Bruce's shoulder. Neither of them knows that in 6 years, they'll be married, that they'll have 2 children, that Bruce will become one of the most influential martial artists and cultural icons in history, that he'll die young, at 32, leaving a legacy that will reshape how the world sees Asian men, martial arts, and the philosophy of water. But in this moment, in this car, driving through San Francisco in 1967, they're just 2 people who chose to sit across from each other despite what the world said about them. Just 2 people who learned that 4 seconds is enough time to change. Not just a moment, but potentially a lifetime. The story doesn't end there, because stories like this never really end, they ripple. 3 months later, Linda brings her roommate to dinner at the Golden Dragon. The roommate is dating a black man from her psychology class, and they've been struggling to find restaurants where they feel welcome. Mr. Chen seats them at the front booth without hesitation. A year after that, Mr. Chen's teenage daughter comes to him and confesses she's been seeing a white boy from her school. She's terrified of his reaction. Mr. Chen surprises both of them by inviting the boy to dinner, treating him with respect, asking about his studies and his intentions. Later, his daughter will tell him it was the first time she felt truly seen by her father. 5 years later, in 1972, a young Chinese-American filmmaker eats at the Golden Dragon while scouting locations in San Francisco. He overhears Mr. Chen telling the story of Bruce Lee's 4 seconds to a new waiter. That story will influence how the filmmaker thinks about confrontation and resolution in his work. Years later, he'll make films that explore the complexity of Asian American identity, the navigation of racism, the choice between violence and dignity. Bruce Lee dies in 1973. Mr. Chen closes the Golden Dragon for 3 days in mourning. He places a photograph of Bruce at the front entrance with a handwritten sign. In memory of a teacher who gave me 4 seconds to choose to be better, I'm still making that choice every day. The restaurant becomes a gathering place for Bruce Lee fans, martial artists, people who heard the story and want to see where it happened. Mr. Chen serves them all with equal grace. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, young, old, wealthy, struggling, every combination of humans who want to sit across from each other and share a meal. When Mr. Chen dies in 1989, his daughter takes over the restaurant. She keeps the photograph of Bruce at the entrance, adds a small plaque underneath with the story of that night in 1967. It ends with a quote. 4 seconds. That's all it takes to choose who you want to be. 30 years later, 60 years later, the Golden Dragon still stands. The neighborhood has changed. Grant Avenue is now a tourist destination lined with souvenir shops and bubble tea cafes. But the restaurant remains, a small island of authenticity, still serving hand-pulled noodles and steamed fish, still seating every combination of humans who walk through its door. And sometimes, late at night when the last customers have left and the kitchen is being cleaned, staff members swear they can feel something in the air, not a ghost. Bruce Lee was never one for supernatural superstition, but a presence, a reminder, an echo of that moment when a 6-year-old martial artist with $47 in his checking account and a woman he loved across a table stood up and demonstrated that the most powerful thing you can do with strength is give others the space to choose wisdom. Now let me ask you something. Because this story isn't just about Bruce Lee or Linda or Mr. Chen or a restaurant in San Francisco in 1967. It's about you. Who is the Mr. Chen in your life? Who have you judged, dismissed, deemed unworthy based on surface appearance, predetermined category, comfortable prejudice? Who is the Bruce Lee in your life? Who has offered you 4 seconds, an opportunity to choose better, to be bigger than your conditioning, to select wisdom over comfort? And more importantly, who are you in this story? Are you Bruce, standing firm with grace in the face of rejection? Are you Linda, loving someone the world tells you not to? Are you Mr. Chen, holding tight to traditions that no longer serve, but capable of change if given the right catalyst? Are you the elderly woman who spoke up when it mattered? Or are you the silent diners, watching injustice unfold while hiding behind your meal? Here's what Bruce Lee understood that night, what he demonstrated in those 4 seconds. Breaking someone is easy. Any person with sufficient physical power can dominate another. Any person with social authority can humiliate someone with less. But giving someone the chance to rebuild themselves, to choose evolution over ego, to select dignity over defensiveness, that's mastery. That's the art within martial art. The real question is what you do with your 4 seconds, because you get them every day. Every time someone cuts you off in traffic, 4 seconds to choose rage or understanding. Every time someone disagrees with you, 4 seconds to choose defensiveness or curiosity. Every time you encounter someone different from you, 4 seconds to choose fear or openness. Every time you win an argument, prove someone wrong, hold power over another person, 4 seconds to choose whether you'll use that moment to dominate or to elevate. Bruce Lee spent his life teaching that water is the strongest element because it adapts, flows, shapes itself to circumstance without losing its essential nature. But here's what he also understood. Water doesn't just flow around obstacles. Sometimes it erodes them. Slowly, patiently, drop by drop, until the hardest stone becomes smooth. That's what happened in those 4 seconds at the Golden Dragon. Not domination, not submission, but erosion. The slow, patient wearing away of one man's hardness until something softer, truer, more human could emerge. You have 4 seconds right now. 4 seconds to decide what you do with this story. Do you treat it as entertainment? A curiosity about a famous man in an interesting situation? Or do you let it become a mirror, reflecting your own choices, your own moments when you stood at a crossroads between who you've always been and who you could choose to become? 4 seconds. That's all it takes to apologize, to speak up, to choose love over comfort, to extend grace, to be water. The clock is ticking. Make your choice. And then, like Mr. Chen learned, understand that the real work isn't in the choosing. It's in the daily recommitment, the constant renewal of that choice across years and decades and the rest of your life. Be water, my friend, and give others 4 seconds to learn to be water too.